little bit about yourself and what brings you here to the Namm show.
Oh, well, music brings me to the Namm show one way or another. I used to come here as a musician, as an artist, just to get in touch with anything that was coming up or was new for the next year in the industry. Make some friendships and endorsements. Just what is needed to move on this journey. My name is Eduardo Del Signore, and I was born in Uruguay. And then it was a neighborhood that it was known. In Uruguay, the Afro descendants, they regroup in different parts of town, and they call each one of those parts nations. So I was born in one of the nations of the Afro-Uruguayans. And each one had a different type of beat, even though there is a commonality on what's called candombe. So since a very early age, I was like 4 years old, when the drummers sporadically they would just go and play in the streets and parade. It was very late at night on a summer night, like a midnight or something like that, and it would wake me up, the rhythm, and I would just go to my parents' bedroom and I wake my father up and ask him to take me to where the drums were playing, and he would get out of bed and get dressed and take me, and that was my first call from music to music. That's what I remember, and that's what I keep evoking every time I play an instrument or compose a song or a piece of music or perform somewhere. That feeling, there is a very particular feeling to it, and that's always my call too. So then I moved to during the years of a military dictatorship in Uruguay in the 70s. I had the chance to join other musicians and a couple of world travelers on a sailing boat, and we took off to sail the Atlantic Ocean north, and we went up the coast of Brazil, and we ended up after a couple of months in Rio de Janeiro. And while we were there, there was a common friend of ours and a singer from Brazil called Milton Nascimento, and he invited Milton wanted to come see, what a group of musicians were traveling in a sailing boat. And he came over, we performed for him, we had a great time, he loved it. And the next thing we knew, he invited us to record in his album Club de la Esquina #2. And he wanted to record even before the production started, because he had to come to America to do an album here at ANAHEIM Records. And he didn't know if when he would be back in Brazil, if we were still gonna be there, or just took off with the boat again, which we did. So we recorded 2 songs that became like classics on one of the most recognized albums of Brazilian popular music. And people like Elis Regina were there, and Chico Buarque, and I mean the company was incredible, And I was fortunate enough. I was 22 years old at the time. It's just to meet all these people, hang out with them and go out for dinner with them, and it was incredible, all because of that encounter with Milton. And that started a friendship that ended up lasting for many years until he got a little sick and stuff. But even through him, I met people like Wayne Shorter, and I introduced him to John Anderson, the singer from the Yes. I put them to sing together in each other's albums, and there's a lot of history. There's a lot to talk about, really. So as far as what I'm doing here right now, I became the representative of a German company that makes strings for any music instruments, which the characteristic is that they are coated with 24 karat gold. And I remember that back in like late 80s, I started thinking, because I used to play DR strings, which sounded good, but they would last 2 or 3 weeks, and they would lose the sound. And so I started researching about, well, what if they use other metals for coating the strings? So I say, well, gold is kind of like what they use in spaceships. They use it in computing. Why not strings? And so I did the research, and I find this brand called Maxima.
Yeah.
At the time. That so I went to Westwood Music in LA and bought a set for my fretless bass, and I just couldn't believe the difference. You know, how the harmonics were like surrounding you, and they lasted for like 2 years. It was incredible. So then I bought another set for my 6 strings like 2 years later, and by then they were called Optima, and then Optima, I requested an endorsement because at the time I was touring with John Anderson and doing all these beautiful things, and so they gave me the artist endorsement, and then I had the chance to go to Germany and meet them, and so they started to invite me to play at the Namm shows every year. So when I went to Germany, they gave me full endorsement, and a year later, 2 years later, after a Namm show, 2017, they asked me if I wanted to represent the brand because of my enthusiasm for the product. I mean, I'm not a salesperson, but I said, sure, why not? I love this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing with this, and that's what brought me today to, and this week basically, to the Namm show 2025.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Can you expand a little bit maybe of your experience in coming across using music as a healing tool in any way, or to get through tough times, or that life throws at us?
Yeah, well, music definitely has that power. There is that in music, you know, because you have to consider where music comes from, and it's up from me being a musician and a composer. I am just a vessel. I'm not the origin, but I can recognize that music comes from a place which is very, if it's not in the same room, it's on the next door room to the divine inside of me. And the way that feels, it really helps me. And when I'm composing and recording something that is based on that platform, I know that that's going to influence other people to feel the same that I'm feeling, you know? Now, the thing with music is that it's also being used for entertainment, and that's a different thing, a complete different purpose altogether. Entertainment is just to distract people, it's just to bring your attention out. Art is to bring your attention in. That's the difference to me. So music could be used for other purposes too, but I think by nature it has a healing power. It has a power to really be the voice for that divine, you know. I think I know that's the way it is, and it has been proven scientifically. I have seen documentaries of, for example, there was an old black man with Alzheimer's that was all day long like this. Then one day, a friend of his brought a Walkman, and they put the headphones, and they started playing the music that he used to like when he was young. And all of a sudden, he started to come back, you know, and he started going and singing and dancing with this. And then the song finished, and then he went back to his other position, you know. But there you have it, you know. There you have it. And there is more and more. I mean, nowadays music is being used for like cases of depression, bipolar people, you know. It's being used, it's being recognized to have that kind of quality and that kind of power. So definitely. Unfortunately, in this country, it's not something that is very much recognized. I have been saying many times, it's like we should change the Second Amendment, you know, for the right to bear a cello or a flute instead of arms, you know. And I'm sure the world will be a very different place if that would be the case, you know? Because we all have that potential. You know? If people have the potential to enjoy listening, you know, then there it is, you know, there it is.
That's a great point, and that brings me to my last question: is if you'd share a little bit on your thoughts on music being a universal language of sorts, a connector, something that connects us in ways that maybe so many things separate us in the world. What are your thoughts on that or experience?
Yes, as you know, I started a non-profit organization called a Call to Peace Foundation. And we're all musicians, you know. I'm part of it. The guitar player is Oscar winning. You know, all of us are like a Grammy-nominated artists. We decided to put that gift together to the service of bringing awareness and raising funds to other charity organizations. And I can tell you that every time we did an event, there is a before and after of the people that come to listen to the concert. There is an experience. There is an experience, and it changes people in a way that it gets less noisy here, because this becomes very noisy. It's kind of like what's going on in there. It goes inside of people's minds every day, you know. So music brings, you know, that level of noise down. And when you have that happening in a person, the person starts recognizing that there are other options, that there is a little bit of clarity, and clarity makes you think, makes you see that there are other options in life. And then there is a little bit of an opening for you to look for other things that would, you know, keep benefiting you in that sense. And yes, that unites people. That brings people together, you know. It's like, God, I've seen like big events, you know. I remember seeing that movie about the singer from Queen when they play at Wembley. It made me cry, you know. It's like that guy singing, and there were all these 100,000 people there, like, ah, you know. Yes, of course it does, you know, it does. And the other thing that I always tell people is like, a dear friend of mine, he used to be a music conductor and an amazing bass player, and he used to tell people, so do you know who was the king on the time of Mozart? No. I mean, do you know who was the minister of this or the minister of that? No. Do you know who was this person and that person? No. But you know Mozart. So there you have it, you know. I mean, it's like Mozart went through everything. Everything else, it was probably important at the time, maybe, who knows, but it didn't survive, you know. And the same now. The situation that we're living in this country, where people are like very like, that's not gonna survive. It's not sustainable by nature. But music is. The arts in general, not just music.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's been a pleasure and working with you. And one of the reasons that we met was because on Delilah, that a lot of people see, we use the Optima strings, and that's because I started using it as Maxima strings.
Yeah, I mean, if you really love what you do, you need the best tools. The best tools are the ones that allow you to be the most comfortable and to get the maximum results with minimum effort, you know? So, I mean, I'm not making a commercial right now, but these particular strings, they really respond the way I like, you know? It's like, it makes it easy to just express more of me, you know?
Right.
Or what comes through me, per se. Yeah.
Well, thank you again so much, and look forward to doing some stuff in the future with you, maybe for your charitable organization, to get the word out and some exposure for that. But thank you again.
You're welcome.
Have a great
Thank you. It's been fun. It's been nice.